Welcome to Inside Orbit. Have you ever listened to native English speakers and just, felt completely lost?
Oh, it's such a common feeling.
Right. Even though you actually know all the vocabulary.
Mhm.
It can feel, well, really overwhelming and frustrating.
It sounds completely backward, doesn't it? I mean, as learners, you're taught from day one to just translate everything, to pause, pull out a dictionary, and decode every single sentence you hear.
Yeah, like you're trying to solve a complicated math problem in your head instead of just having a conversation.
Exactly. But today's deep dive is about deconstructing that exact habit. Our mission today is all about unlocking real-world English fluency.
Yes, unlocking that natural confidence.
Right. We're exploring a fascinating stack of academic research, transcripts from language learning shows, and some massive YouTube channels. We want to discover how to actually bridge the gap between knowing textbook grammar and, speaking with natural ease.
And honestly, if you're listening to this right now and feeling stressed out by your English journey, I want you to take a deep breath. You really don't need to pack up your life and move to an English-speaking country to achieve this.
No, absolutely not.
You don't need to spend your evenings hunched over a desk analyzing grammar rules until your eyes hurt. Finding this kind of fluency is actually much warmer and much more human than that.
It really is. It's about bringing the language into the quiet, everyday moments of your real life.
Yeah, through just small, smart daily habits.
So, to start building those habits, we first have to look at how the brain actually processes foreign sounds. There's this foundational concept in linguistic research called extensive listening.
Okay, extensive listening.
Right. We saw this explored deeply in academic studies by researchers Eleonora Baxit-Genova and Talip Ganuel. Their work highlights a pretty massive flaw in traditional learning, which focuses way too much on strict, rigid rules.
Like staring at a textbook.
Exactly. That's called intensive listening. But extensive listening works differently. It means consuming a large amount of understandable, enjoyable content without stressing over the tiny details.
Oh, I like the sound of that.
Yeah, they found that just 1 hour a week of engaging with casual podcasts or vodcasts naturally improves what linguists call suprasegmental features.
Okay, wait. I'm going to stop you right there because suprasegmental features sounds like a serious medical condition.
Well, I promise it's not fatal.
Good to know.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it basically just means the rhythm, the intonation, and the overall fluency of speech, right? The melody of the language.
That is a great way to visualize it. It's the music behind the words. English is a stress-timed language, meaning the time between stressed syllables stays roughly the same, even if you cram like 5 smaller words between them.
Oh, wow. I never really thought about it mathematically like that.
Yeah, so when you practice extensive listening, you're training your brain's auditory cortex to hear that underlying music, rather than just reading the individual notes on a page.
But wait, I have to challenge this because I know so many learners struggle with this exact moment. What if the native speakers are just talking way too fast?
That is the #1 complaint.
Right. Because if I'm listening to a podcast and I only understand, say, half the words they're saying, aren't I just tuning it out? How is my brain actually learning anything if it just sounds like noise?
Well, that frustration comes from cognitive overload.
Okay, what does that mean?
Your brain is trying to run a real-time translation software, and it's basically crashing. Gagnola's research even points out that students get incredibly frustrated with the fast pace of native speech for this exact reason.
Exactly. It makes you just want to give up.
But here is the brilliant insight we found in the transcript from the show English Unleashed. They talk about the 30 to 50% rule.
The 30 to 50% rule.
Yeah, you actually do not need to understand 100% of the words. In fact, if you're trying to, you're probably doing it wrong.
Wait, really?
Huh.
That completely goes against everything we're taught in school.
It does. But when you simply let the sounds enter your ears without frantically translating, your brain acts as a statistical engine. It starts subconsciously recognizing patterns.
Like where the speaker pauses, or how their voice goes up at the end of a question.
Precisely. You are passively downloading the rhythm. It becomes a kind of background music for your mind. You lower your anxiety, which naturally lowers what linguists call your affective filter, allowing the language to actually sink in.
I love that phrase, background music. It completely changes the pressure of the situation. You don't have to sit there pausing a video every 5 seconds.
No, not at all.
You just let it wash over you while you live your life. And looking through discussions by Reddit users who are actively learning English, there are so many comforting places to find this background music.
Oh, absolutely. What did they recommend?
Well, they highly recommend the BBC Learning English channel, specifically their 6-minute English program or their quick quizzes.
Oh, those are excellent because they're designed specifically with a slightly modified pace for learners, but they still maintain completely natural phrasing.
Right, they aren't robotic at all. Another massive recommendation is a platform called Ello. It has over 3,000 free, natural conversations between normal people.
That's a huge library.
It is. Or, if you want something even cozier, there's a podcast called Slow American English with Colleen. You can put these on while you're cooking dinner or while you're just staring out the window on the bus. Extensive listening just fits perfectly into your quiet, mundane moments.
It really does. And by making it your background music, you build this massive mental library of phonetic sounds. But, listening only solves the input side of the equation.
All right. The scary part.
Exactly. Eventually, you have to output. To actually build speaking confidence, we have to physically connect the ears to the mouth. We move from passive listening to active speaking.
And honestly, I've tried this before, and it can be exhausting. I've tried a technique called shadowing, where you listen to a native speaker and just repeat after them.
Yes, shadowing. We saw this discussed in the English Unleashed podcast as well.
Right. Shadowing is like copying a speaker, like an echo, matching their speed, their tone, their rhythm. But trying to translate their words, process the grammar, and then speak it out loud fast enough to keep up, I mean, I can't do that for an hour a day.
And you definitely shouldn't try to, because you're still relying on that translation layer.
So what's the secret?
The single most important rule of shadowing is that you must do it without stopping to translate the words in your head.
Without translating at all.
Not at all. The moment your brain tries to access your native language to find the meaning, you lose the rhythm of the English sentence. Shadowing forces you to bypass the analytical part of your brain entirely.
Oh, I see. It's like learning how to sing a song in a different language.
That is the perfect analogy.
Yeah, you don't learn to sing your favorite song by sitting in a silent room, reading the sheet music, and looking up the dictionary definition of every lyric.
Definitely not.
You learn it by turning up the radio in your car, singing along, fumbling the words, making mistakes, and just trying again until the lyrics feel natural in your mouth. You let the melody pull you forward.
Shadowing is literally just singing along with the English language, and that singing mechanism is backed up by some incredible cognitive science.
Oh, really? What kind of science?
Well, we looked at a study by Chang Chen and colleagues that introduces this visual-aided interactive system called Rhythm TA.
Rhythm TA.
Yes. They studied how English learners master rhythm through a structured form of shadowing called dubbing practice. And what's fascinating is how they use visual tools to help you bypass that translation trap.
Visual tools, what does that actually look like? Are we talking about subtitles?
Much more dynamic than just subtitles. Imagine looking at a screen where the spoken sentence is represented by audio waveforms. The stressed syllables might be highlighted in bright colors or shown as larger, bouncing visual cues.
Oh, wow. So you literally see the shape of the sentence's energy.
Exactly. And they break this dubbing practice down into 3 highly effective stages. First is synchronized listening. You just listen while watching these visual spikes and colors.
So your brain maps the audio sound to the visual cue.
Yes, which greatly enhances your perception of the rhythm.
So you're literally seeing the music of the language before you try to sing it.
That's right. Then comes the second stage-guided repeating. This is the active shadowing. You use those visual cues on the screen to self-adjust as you speak out loud.
Because you can anticipate the big visual spike on a certain word.
Exactly. You naturally push more air out of your lungs and stress that word perfectly, matching the native speaker's exact energy.
And then there's a third stage, which I found totally terrifying when I first read about it, comparative reflection.
It definitely requires some bravery. Comparative reflection means you record your guided repeating and then you listen back to your own voice side by side with the native speaker.
Oh, hearing your own recorded voice is such a vulnerable, uncomfortable experience. We all hate how we sound on tape.
It's true, we do.
But doing it in a foreign language is just so raw. But I completely understand why it's the fastest way to grow. You have to face the gap between what you think you sound like and what you actually sound like.
And if you want to try this dubbing or shadowing technique yourself, YouTube is essentially a free version of this kind of software.
Oh, definitely. For American pronunciation, a channel called Rachel's English is incredible. She zooms in on her mouth, showing you exactly where the tongue and teeth go for every vowel. You can literally mirror her face.
She provides that visual mapping, turning abstract sounds into physical mechanics. It's brilliant.
It really is. And if you prefer a British accent, there's a fantastic channel called Elephant English Podcasts. They have all these great stories ranging from beginner A1 to advanced C1 levels about simple everyday things.
Like travel, the weather, pets.
Yeah, exactly. You can just hit play, read the transcript, and shadow their voices, letting the story guide your rhythm.
Which brings us to the most crucial shift in this entire learning process. We've talked about the mechanics of extensive listening and active shadowing, but if you view these techniques as homework,
They're going to feel incredibly draining.
exactly. Tom, the host of the English Unleashed podcast, introduces a philosophy that changes the entire neurological context of learning. He says you shouldn't just study English, you should live with it.
Live with it.
Yeah.
I love that. And that is the perfect bridge for learners who feel like they just don't have the time.
Because we are all busy.
Right. If you have a demanding job or you're taking care of kids, finding an hour to analyze your own voice recordings feels like a massive chore. But living the language removes English from the category of chores and turns it into a natural part of your human experience.
And the reason living with it is so effective neurologically comes down to how human memory works. Traditional studying relies on semantic memory, which is just rote memorization of facts and vocabulary lists.
Right, the boring stuff.
Yeah. But living the language engages episodic memory. When you tie a new word to a specific real-world event or a strong emotion, the amygdala in your brain signals to the hippocampus that this information is vital for survival.
Wow, vital for survival. So the vocabulary sticks effortlessly because it's anchored to a feeling.
Exactly. The brain chemically stamps the word into your memory.
And the most beautiful way to trigger that emotional memory, especially if you don't live in an English-speaking country, is through stories. Our brains are basically hardwired for storytelling.
They absolutely are.
We saw this perfectly demonstrated in the 5-Minute English Practice podcast. They don't give you dry vocabulary lists. They share cozy, deeply relatable, emotional human stories.
And by listening to their experiences, you are artificially creating episodic memories for yourself.
Yes, I felt this so strongly listening to Jessica and Lisa on that podcast talk honestly about trying to quit coffee for a single day.
Oh, I remember that one. It sounded painful.
Yeah, it really did. They described the pounding headaches, the grumpy, irritable moods, the absolute physical struggle of just trying to function without caffeine.
And when you listen to that story, you aren't just memorizing the spelling of the word headache.
No, you are feeling the deep frustration of a caffeine withdrawal. Your brain ties the English word to that relatable human misery.
The emotional resonance bypasses the need for repetition entirely. You feel it once and you know it.
Yeah. Or Jessica sharing her nervous first day at a new job in a cozy independent bookstore. She didn't just say, I got a job. She painted a picture.
She talked about the warm, dusty smell of old books.
Right. And the soft jazz playing quietly in the background. The nervous butterflies fluttering in her stomach as she spoke to her first customer.
Those sensory details, the smell of the paper, the sound of the jazz, they create a rich, multidimensional mental context. It makes the language feel alive, rather than just flat text on a screen.
It really does. Or there was another episode where she talks about the pure, uncomplicated joy of a perfect day at the zoo with her best friend. They were feeding these gentle, long-necked giraffes, laughing uncontrollably at the waddling penguins.
Didn't they name one of the penguins?
Yeah, they named one of them Curious Carl because he kept staring at them. It was so funny. When you learn English through stories of friendship, laughter, and joy, you aren't studying, you are experiencing the language.
And experiencing the language is the only path to true, lasting fluency. So, how can you start experiencing English right now, today? How do you live with it when you're incredibly busy?
Yes, let's get into the practical stuff.
We've pulled together 5 practical, actionable daily habits from across these sources. These are tiny micro adjustments to your routine that require basically 0 extra time.
I love actionable steps. So what is the first habit we can build today?
The very first step is incredibly simple but highly effective. Change your phone and computer operating systems to English.
Oh, that is so smart. You look at your phone dozens, maybe hundreds of times a day.
Exactly. By changing the language, you are forcing passive reinforcement. When your alarm goes off, you see snooze. When you get a text, you see notification. You naturally absorb these words through repetitive environmental exposure.
Without ever sitting down with a flashcard.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant way to trick your brain. Okay, what is the second daily habit?
The second habit is to start thinking in English, but with a major caveat, just one thought at a time.
Wait, just one thought.
Yes. A lot of learners try to translate their entire internal monologue, which instantly leads to that cognitive overload we talked about. Instead, just narrate simple, isolated moments in your head.
Like when you wake up, look at the ceiling and think, I am sleepy, I need coffee.
Perfect. Or when you step outside, just think, the sky is really blue today.
It completely breaks the pressure. You don't need to debate philosophy in your head, just one little thought. I need coffee, which honestly is probably the most important sentence you can master in any language anyway.
It truly is. It builds a direct pathway between your physical reality and the English language, bypassing your native tongue entirely.
Okay, what's number 3?
The third habit connects back to the motor cortex we discussed during shadowing. You need to read aloud. Reading silently is great for comprehension, but reading aloud is like going to the gym for your speaking muscles.
I've never thought of it like that.
It forces your tongue, your lips, and your breath to physically navigate the awkward phonetic combinations of English.
You are building physical muscle memory. Your mouth literally has to learn how to move in new ways, which leads perfectly into the fourth habit, which is actually my favorite trick for remembering tricky vocabulary.
Oh, the embodied learning.
Yes, it's about watching visual creators who use embodied learning. There was a hugely popular YouTube teacher named Bob the Canadian.
He is fantastic.
He has this incredible video where he doesn't just define words. He physically acts out 60 different English action verbs with his body.
The neuroscience behind why Bob's videos work so well actually involves mirror neurons.
Mirror neurons.
Yes. When you watch another human perform a physical action, the neurons in your own brain fire almost as if you were performing the action yourself. So instead of just reading the word yank in a dictionary, you watch Bob physically grab something and yank it toward himself.
Right. You see the sudden, sharp violence of the movement. You see him flick something tiny with his finger. You see him push against a wall with his entire body weight.
Your brain maps the physical tension in his body to the English vocabulary.
You will never, ever forget the difference between a gentle pull and a hard yank once your mirror neurons process his movement. You can even stand in your living room and act the words out with him while you watch.
Embodying the language cements it deeply into your physical memory.
Okay, and the final habit.
The fifth daily habit. This one is perhaps the most emotionally transformative. Every night before you go to sleep, record a 1-minute voice message diary on your phone.
Just 1 minute.
Just 60 seconds. Open your voice memos app, hit record, and talk in English about your day. What did you eat? What stressed you out? What made you smile?
This goes right back to that comparative reflection stage from the dubbing research. Recording yourself feels incredibly vulnerable.
It can be genuinely scary.
It really can. To hear your own voice stumbling, making grammatical errors, searching for words. But speaking a new language is a beautifully vulnerable human experience. And this face diary is a completely safe space.
Exactly. No native speaker is judging you. No teacher is grading you with a red pen.
It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be practiced.
And the magic happens when you listen back to those 1-minute recordings a month later or maybe 6 months later. You actually hear your own neurological progress.
You hear the rhythm getting smoother. You hear the pauses getting shorter.
You hear your own confidence slowly growing in real time. By facing the discomfort of your own voice, you become your own best teacher.
That is the whole secret to this journey, really. True fluency isn't waiting for you at the end of a dense grammar textbook. It's built in those tiny, brave moments.
It really is.
It's about making English your background music while you wash the dishes. It's about shadowing a podcast in your car like you're belting out your favorite song.
It's feeling the joy of feeding giraffes at the zoo.
Exactly. Acting out action verbs in your living room and recording a sleepy voice note at the very end of a long, tiring day. Small intentions, when they practiced consistently, lead to incredibly meaningful change.
As we bring this deep dive to a close, I want to leave you with a final, calming insight to mull over tonight. Think about the exact moment you wake up tomorrow morning.
Okay.
The room is quiet. The sun is just coming up. You are just opening your eyes. What if, before you even reached for your phone to check the news or even got out of bed, your very first sleepy thought was a simple, quiet sentence in English?
Oh, I love that. Like it's a new day or just, I'm ready. What a beautifully empowering way to start your morning.
It sets the tone for everything.
It really does. Remember, every single small step you take, every new word you bravely try to pronounce, and every mistake you allow yourself to make is bringing you closer to the fluency and the confidence you completely deserve. Keep going. You are doing wonderfully.